Okay, we are live.
Hello.
Hi, welcome back to the Lost Artistry Lash channel. We are live, and today we're doing a free handmade volume, introduction to volume, I should say, free mini course. So thank you so much for joining. This is so cool. Anna and I today are going to be diving into the theory behind volume lashes. Very specific to handmade volume, but this does not mean that this isn't for any type of volume artist. It's for handmade volume artists, it's for pre-made volume artists, easy fan, literally anyone. The volume theory is the same across the board. So today we're not diving into the technical hands-on side of volume, but we're prepping for that. Next week on Monday, so 1 week from today at 2:00 p.m. is our next one. And we are going to be doing an a live full mini course on how to fan off the strip. So today is all about diving into theory, and then next week we have actually made a newspaper on Instagram. So Anna's going to show you where to find that. And what you're going to do with the newspaper is go through, look at all the videos, all the tutorials that are in that newspaper.
So you'd find it just right here, just at the bottom on our Instagram page. You would click on there.
Yeah. And so what we've done is we've put a bunch of handmade volume tutorials in that newspaper. So it's really easy for you to find, and you can go through over the next week. You can go in there, watch all those videos, and then come to next week's live and actually practice handmade volume together with us. So come in with your questions. We're going to work through handmade volume, fanning off the strip together. So that is the goal for next week's video. But today is all about theory. We're really diving into it, guys. And with that being said, it's really important for me to kind of let you know how this is going to go down for Anna and I. Firstly, this is our first live training together. I usually do trainings by myself, so this is so exciting. So Anna's in on this with me today, and we're really looking forward to it. But we want to be able to give you the best possible information that we can. So what we've done is we've made a Google Docs, and we have our flow completely written out. So we don't want to miss anything. So you'll notice a lot that we're going back to our computers, seeing where we're at, making sure that we're not missing anything along the way. So please be mindful of that. Also, we do have Jill, she's out of view, but she's looking at your guys' questions when they come in so that we're not distracted by the live. Please keep your questions until the end, unless they're very specific to the topic that we're talking about, in which case Jill will let us know those questions and we'll answer them when we can. But we're going to have a Q&A after the live. So we're going to get off live. Hopefully we'll be able to post this, hopefully. But if we can't, then I'm so sorry, but definitely join in next week. But yeah, we'll hope to post it, and we'll answer Q&A after the live is done. So please be mindful of that so that we're not kind of getting taken away, so that everyone can get as much knowledge out of this live as possible. Yeah. So I guess let's just get, another thing I should say. So we did make the doc. See, looked at my notes, would have forgotten to say this. We did make a doc specific to this. And if you want the document, we're going to go ahead and post it on our website after this. It's very basic. It's like our notes, and there's some little write-ups about each thing. So it's nice to have it so you can go back and look at the notes so that you're reminded as well. So this will only be available for 24 hours, and it will be found on our website. I'll show you exactly where right now, but it's not going to be available until about 20 minutes after the live. But you can find it if you go to our website. Under the courses tab, oh my goodness, my computer screen is disgusting. Anyways, under the courses tab right here, if you click it, there will be a link that says Introduction to Volume. So you can go on there, and then you'll find the PDF, and you can download it and use it as much as you want. And you can just save it and check it out, and then you can have the information for later. So I guess we're gonna dive right in. Now I need to scroll down because I just went hamburger.com. Okay, so you're starting with this one?
Sure.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, so firstly, what are volume lash fans in comparison to classic? So why should you offer these in your business? For one, you will make more money. It's a really quick, easy upcharge. And I feel like a lot of clients are wanting volume nowadays, whether it's volume, mega volume, hybrid. It's a very hot, popular thing right now. So it's definitely an easy way to gain some extra monies, extra income. Also, you can offer more services. Like I said, you can offer hybrid, you can offer light volume, dramatic volume.
There's literally no limit to the styles that you can create when you're working with volume. So classic is obviously a little bit limited. If someone has gaps or something like that, you're not able to cover them. Obviously you can direct in and stuff like that. But I noticed that my phone just went dark. Can you still see us on there? Okay, cool. As long as you can see us, it doesn't matter. Because we're not looking at the questions anyways. But yeah, like Anna was saying.
No, wait, it is loading.
Oh,
Sorry, there's a few second lag. Why did you do that?
It's going to keep doing that.
How come? Do I just need to touch
I don't
it?
know. Yeah, you're going to have to, Jill. I'm so glad Jill's here. Guys, my phone, when it goes dark, we're troubleshooting. My phone, when it goes dark, the video pauses, and it's so annoying, and I don't know how to change it. Anyways, so what I was saying is, say you have someone who has gaps along their lash line. Classics, unfortunately, will not be able to fill the gaps. It's doing it again, Jill.
Is it dying?
No, it's not dying. Classics will not be able. You might have to sit over there, Jill.
Yeah,
I'm not sure why it's doing that when we do lives. Maybe it's because I'm not close enough or something.
maybe.
I don't know. But anyways, if you are filling gaps and stuff along the lash line, it's a lot harder to really cover those gaps if you're working with classics. So volume is amazing for that.
Exactly.
So next, well, where do I start with learning?
So firstly, you definitely want to master classics before jumping right into volume. And you want to start with higher diameter lashes and lower dimension fans. So meaning 3D and 0.07, because it's much easier to grip off of the lash strip and it's easier to fan. Sorry, Joe. It's much easier to fan. So this also goes for pre-made fans as well. You don't want to just jump into buying starting with like 8D or 12D, because it'll be much harder to isolate through the lash line, and it's much easier to place the lower dimension fans.
That's right. So basically, when we're working in the beginning, it is crucial to start with lower dimension fans. It's so hard to say that.
Yeah.
Lower dimension fans and higher diameter lashes. The reason for that is because higher diameter lashes, they are thicker. They're thicker. So if we have a thicker lash, it's easier to grip those between your tweezers and release them from the strip. And then when it comes to the width of the fan, so what Anna's meaning when she's talking about isolating. So if we're isolating a lash, in order to place like a mega volume beefy fan, then we have to really have our isolation down point. We cannot you need a lot of room to place that fan, or else it's going to be hitting everywhere and we won't be able to focus on getting that base applied. So it's really important to start small, and I mean that in every sense of the word. Start small and then slowly move up from there. And with that said, it's also really important to make sure that you don't just, like I said, don't just jump into volume, but make sure that you really do good trainings. Anna and I have both had poor experiences with 2-day trainings in our community. And it was really stressful. We spent a lot of money on trainings and it wasn't very good. 2 days just wasn't enough for us to learn everything that we needed. And actually, I did a lot of 2-day trainings as well. And even though my trainings were jam-packed with information, 2 days just wasn't enough to learn the art of volume, let alone the art of volume and mega volume.
And the truth is, you just don't absorb all of that information. When you're in a 2-day training, you're really only retaining maybe 20 to 30% of that. And then you can't go back, obviously, because you were there in person, you can't go back and remember what it was. So it's nice to have online training so you can always revisit it, always rewatch and relearn. And I always find that I'm always going back in my volume manual and I'm learning something else that I'd read already, but I'm like, oh, that makes sense now.
Right.
So it's so helpful to have online training and to have so much information, months worth of information.
That's right. That's actually why we made the course, because we had such poor experiences with in-person training. And I'm not saying all in-person training.
Okay, wait, they're saying there's no sound now, Kaitlyn.
Can you hear? Can you hear us? Oh my goodness, this is crazy. Can you hear us? Can you hear us? I can't hear.
How's the YouTube live doing?
It's doing well.
Okay, YouTube can hear us.
Sorry guys, just so you know, we're on YouTube and we're on Instagram, but it's saying Instagram has no sound.
But it's ever since you got that phone call.
And I turned off my phone call notifications. This is so weird. Hang on, guys. We might have to go to settings, auto lock, never.
Yeah, but we can't hear you.
We're going to have to go back on. I'm not doing that right now.
You want me to share it?
No, not right now. Because there's like 200 people on there waiting. Auto lock, never. How do I do that?
I'm trying to find it.
Sorry, guys.
Where's auto lock?
Oh, it's in display and brightness under settings. Display and brightness. And then there's auto lock.
Never.
Okay, so
that's
that's one
way
thing.
easier.
But
Okay, let's
then-
go back on.
For some reason, getting a phone call made you not have sound anymore. Let's see. It's hard because there's that bit of delay, so you never get to
man.
insert it.
Okay, well, at least the auto lock is under control. Hi, we are back. Holy smokes. I'm so sorry, guys. This has been a nightmare. What the hell? Okay, so we're back in action. Unfortunately, couldn't save the beginning of this video, but we will definitely be posting the rest of it if all works well. Sorry about that. We did turn off our auto lock, so the screen won't go dark anymore. We're lash artists. We're not
technology.
Okay, so we're just gonna pick up where we left off. Maybe we'll start a little bit back from that. On the training topic, guys, when it comes to training, I don't know how much of that you guys heard, but basically the gist of it was that it is really important to have good training. It's not just about just making a volume fan. It's about learning who can suit which diameter, which dimension, and so on. And training is the best. So we put everything online. That way then we can put like a month's plus worth of information that is always accessible. You can go back and watch it again and again and again and again. It never expires. Once you sign up for our courses, you have them for the rest of eternity and you grow with them. So we're always updating our information and making those better suited to you, your lash needs, and everything that comes along in the lash world. So anyways, we put that all online. Great to go on and check that out, but very important to have good training. So we'll talk a lot more about the courses later, but I just wanted to touch on that. And back to the volume thing though. So we were talking earlier, hopefully you guys heard this, about the importance of working with smaller dimension fans in higher diameter. So these are easier to pick up, but they're also easier to isolate and place. So wider fans, really hard. I'm just recapping, guys. Wider fans are really hard to place, really hard to get that nice, solid connection. But if you start small and slowly work your way up through dimensions and diameters, it becomes a lot easier.
Absolutely. And like in the beginning of volume, say you want to practice doing 3D, but you have clients that want to get more dramatic, like 5D, 6D, whatever it is, you can actually still practice 3D and place those lashes on your clients' natural baby lashes and fill the rest in with pre-fans.
Yeah, so that's another thing to touch on, guys. So pre-fans are an amazing tool. You don't have to be solely a pre-fan artist, but you can be if you want to be. But just for those who are learning the art of handmade volume, it is an incredible tool to have in your back pocket because while you're learning the art of hand making, you can have pre-mades to supplement your handmade fans. So what we suggest to every student that we teach is in the beginning, you do the majority of your sets in pre-mades while you're fanning on command. And then you say start fanning for 20 minutes, your first service, and then do that for about a week and then fill the rest with pre-mades. So you're not super stressed while you're actually learning the art of hand making. And then you slowly move up your times until you become fully comfortable doing 100% handmade fans. And that doesn't take that long, depending on how committed you are. Another option is you can grab an empty pre-fan tray like this guy here, and then you can make your own handmade fans. You can practice handmade volume, and then you can put them in here and you can use your own pre-made fans. So you can pre-make them before, and then you can go ahead and use them on your clients like your own pre-made fans. So there's so many ways around learning volume lashes that don't have to be stressful. We're constantly hearing again and again that handmade volume is so stressful. I'm really discouraged. And I get why, especially when you feel pressured to have to make every single handmade fan right there on the spot 100% of the time. I've been lashing for like 8 years. And some days I'm like, man, I can't even get my hands to work properly. And I've been doing this for 8 years, and I'm sure that you're the same. Some days you're just not in it to win it. Some days your tweezers are gone crazy and you don't know how to work your hands, whatever, where you just didn't get enough sleep or anything. It's nice to have some things that you can have on hand that can supplement hand making those fans. And there's no shame in that, not at all.
Exactly.
So let's get right into what makes volume volume. So volume is the art of using multiple individual classic lashes in the form of a fan. Now, when I say classic lashes, I'm not talking diameter, I'm talking individual fibers of lashes. So anything above one lash being applied to one natural lash is considered volume. So 2D all the way up to like 50D, if you want to get crazy, is considered volume. Now, there's a very big difference between volume and mega volume, and the different dimensions and diameters that you use create different looks. But to get more into that, I'm just going to show you a couple charts. So I'm going to come up there and just walk through the basics of that. Okay. Can we see this here? I'm going to come into both the Instagram and the YouTube. Actually, maybe Anna, you can take one of them and go hold it over the other screen. It's on your computer if you want to just zoom in there.
Should we be starting on?
So, firstly, let's look at which diameters make volume lashes. So you can see here, here's our volume lash diameters. We have 0.10, we have 0.07, we have 0.05, and we have 0.03. So the lower the diameter, the smaller the lash fiber is. So 0.03 and 0.05 are usually used for mega volume lashing, but 0.05 is an incredible lash for volume as well, because you can use 0.05 for those lashes that are really fine. So let's say we have older clients. Actually, guys, most of my older clientele, I work with 0.05 in volume, even over classics, because they look much more natural. A lot of our older clientele have gaps along the lash line. You need to fill those in. You need to do it in a lightweight way, and you don't want anything dramatic. 0.05 is the best. 0.07 is what is, I would say, a standard volume. We usually use 0.07 for anything from 2 to 7D max. And then 0.10 is our highest diameter lash that we would use for volume. Now, in 0.10s, we don't usually use anything over, say, 3 or 4D. 0.07 is kind of, like I said, 2 to 7D. 0.05, you can go for either volume or mega volume. Mega volume is usually considered anything that's above 7D. So that's what we use for 0.03s and 0.07s. Now, you can use any of these diameters in any way that you want. Sometimes I even pull out my 0.05s and do it in a 2 or 3D for really my clients who have really, really, really fine lashes, especially on the inner corners. So dimension-wise, here's what we're looking at. You can see them all down here. So from 3 to 9D, we have on the top row. From 10D to 20D, we have on the bottom row. Now, you can go above 20D, but anything above 7D, well, we say 6D, but anything from 7D and above, we usually consider mega volume. Mm-hmm. Now, mega volume, again, it can be light or it can be dramatic. Look at the difference between these fans. And same with the difference between 3D and 6D. 3D would be considered a light volume, and 6D would be considered a dramatic volume. Usually when we work with 7D and above, we do switch our diameter to go lower. So there's a lot to know here. But the diameters that you use are so important. And you can definitely mix and match your diameters. So a lot of clients will have thick natural lashes along their lash line and also have really fine diameter lashes along their lash line. So ideally, unless we're working with, say, a 3D lash that mostly everyone can handle, we're mixing dimensions. So let's say a client comes in and their standard of strong natural lashes will be different than the next person. So you really want to make sure that you understand your volumetric weights, which I'm going to show you right now in the back of here. So again, you can mix and match. But what we do, and this will be in your PDF as well, guys, But what we do here, I'm gonna pull this one up. Yeah, sorry, I should have stayed up here. It'd be so much easier to do this in person, but we're doing what we can do on live. So we've made this weight equivalency chart. So every client's natural lashes will be somewhere in this range. They can hold up to about a 0.12 diameter classic lash, some 0.10, but mostly everyone can hold a 0.12 diameter classic lash. So when you use this weight equivalency chart, you know your classic weights, right? So what you do is you look at the client's natural lash, and this is for every individual lash that you isolate. So you do your work to figure out which classic lash you think that they can handle. If they have weak natural lashes, go across here. And depending on which diameter you're working with, you can know generally how high of a dimension a fan that they can hold. So you can easily, you want to print this off, have it on the side of your station and use it. I still look at this even, so I don't have to do, I mean, you get used to it after a while, but I still often look at this. We have it on our wall in the salon and I look at it all the time. And I'm like, okay, this lash can hold about a 0.15. Okay, I'm using 0.03. I know I can go up to 25D. Now, most clients don't want up to 25D, but at least you know if you're working with 0.03 that you can go anywhere below this number. So you're really using this and saying, okay, like the max is 4D 0.07. And this isn't meaning that everyone's going to fall in this. People are unique. Sometimes their natural lashes look strong and they're weak and vice versa. But this is a really great guide to go by. So you can stay underneath these dimensions once you've done your work on figuring out which classic that they can use. So there's that. So that's how we go. And guys, there's so much more to this. I'm trying to fill stick as much information into this as we can because we want to be able to give you all the information that we can. But there's so much more to all of this. So that's where the courses come in handy. But we are wanting to give as much information as we possibly can in the time that we have. Okay. So where are we at?
Jump into products.
All right.
Yeah, so most of our service products can go for any lashing services, so such as like Bond-Aid, cleansers, those can be used for classic, volume, whatever it may be. However, there are specific products that are best for volume. So we're going to cover a couple of those, like basically the essentials that you should have when doing volume services.
Right. So one thing to note is when you're working with volume, your tweezers are so important. Classic tweezers are not the same as volume tweezers. So it's really important for you to find a tweezer that has a point that is nice for if you're fanning off the strip. This is a pointed tweezer, like such as I'll show you, such as our L-curve tweezer here. See here? See that point? See that point? So this point on the tweezer is amazing because when you're fanning off the strip, you can easily roll those lashes out. So you're looking for something like that. But most importantly, we're looking to find our sweet spot. And what a sweet spot means is that the tweezer closes completely. So I'm going to show you on YouTube really quickly. You can't see any gaps through here. That's how you know where your sweet spot is. You shouldn't be able to see through the cracks in your tweezer. When you're putting I use about 90% pressure when I'm hand making my fans, which is really weird to get used to in the beginning, by the way. But you should definitely be using a volume specific tweezer that has a great sweet spot. So when you have a good sweet spot, those lashes aren't going to fall through the cracks. If you have little gaps like you would with a classic lash, like here's a classic tweezer, for example. Here, let me see if I can show you this. I know I will be able to. So see here, you can kind of see my hand through the tweezer. The reason why this is a classic tweezer, here, I'll show you on YouTube. See that? For classics, you need to pick up at the tips right here. For volume, you need to pick up along the base of the tweezer. You can't see through those at all. This is our L-curve tweezer. And it's important that you can't see through it because if you can see through that, that means the lashes are going to fall through. Like this tweezer right here, this is not going to hold. This is not going to hold a volume lash of any sort. Now, if you do have little cracks along the way, then it's okay depending on the diameter that you're using. So say you're working with a diameter that's thicker, 0.10s, easy peasy. Most volume tweezers are good for that. Don't take a lot of pressure because the the lash itself is actually thicker. But when we work with like 0.05, 0.03s, those fibers are so tiny and you need the perfect tweezer for that.
100%.
Also, it's really important to store your tweezers right and use a specific tweezer for a specific diameter. Do you want to explain why?
Yeah, so if you were to use, say, like the same tweezer you would use for 0.07, for 0.05 or 0.03, what will happen is those lashes will actually like fall through the cracks. So it'll make volume so much harder when doing that. So it's always good to like label your tweezers, what you use for what diameters, so then it can make lashing a lot less stress-free.
And there's also a video that we've added to that newspaper. Again, if you're new, we made a newspaper on Instagram. Ask us if you can't find it, but it's right there on the feed where you'd find like Instagram TV and all of, you know, those little buttons. There's a newspaper there. We've made it specific to all the posts that we have on volume. So one of those videos is, it's about that. It's called Tweezer Hack and it's in there. But yeah, it's really important to use the right tweezers for the right service. Pressure is important too. We are going to talk about holding your tweezers and all that stuff next week. So join us next week, 1 or 2 o'clock p.m. PST. We're going to make a story about this on Instagram so that you can click the reminder, and it should probably be up now. If not, it's going to be up right after this, and you can click the reminder and join us. It's going to be fun. So when it comes to glues for beginners, I'm going to let Anna take this one over.
Yeah, so as a beginner, it's best to start with a slower cure time glue. For example, I really love working with Invisibond or Sensitize. It is a 2 to 3 second cure time. Yep, so it's definitely best to start off with that in the beginning. And then as you get more comfortable with it, you can work up to a faster cure time glue like Quickie.
So something to add to that is if you work in the beginning as an artist, if say you're amazing at classics and you're just like popping through classics like no big deal, then you might be good for say a Quickie adhesive or any 1 second cure time adhesive. But when you're learning a new practice, a new technique and all that stuff, you need something that's going to slow cure or that's going to cure slower. Because if you don't have a slow cure time glue when you're learning the art of something, you're going to end up with horrible retention. Reason why is because we're slower when we're learning something, and that's just facts. Like we are slower and we want to make sure that we have time to really cure that bond, make sure that we have time to wiggle it around, make sure our placement is perfect before we actually connect and make a full contact with that natural lash. And if we're using a fast cure time glue, there's not much room for wiggle room. And what ends up happening is that the glue actually cures before it's properly placed, and then the lashes are slowly popping off, and it's really, really stressful. So knowing which glue is right for you is crucial. And with that said, actually, the humidity and temperature is really important when you're working with handmade volumes, because you need to know exactly how your glue is going to work when you're wrapping that natural lash. You can get away with it with classics a little bit, having fluctuations, but with handmade volume, it is so important to have the right environment.
Totally. And like a great way to keep the environment regulated for your glues is to have a glue home and to put silica packs or rice in there. So that way it keeps our glues fresher for longer and they can perform at their best. And another great thing for glue care is having a glue braidor or shaking your glue really well by hand and making sure that all of those components are properly mixed. Because if not, that will also lead to issues in lashing as well.
That's right. Yeah, you want to make sure that your glue is working at its absolute best, especially when you're working with handmade volume, because it's finicky for sure. Another thing is you can check your humidity, you can check your temperature when you're with your hygrometer. So it's a super inexpensive device and it can check your levels. And one of my biggest tips, and there's a video about this that's way more detailed in that newspaper as well. But so let's say your glue works between, like most of our glues, 40 and 60% relative humidity. So that doesn't mean that the perfect optimal humidity is anywhere between 40 and 60%. It could be like 55 in your room and 45 in your room. Like there's so many other factors as well. So what I suggest is having your hygrometer, and that day that you're like whipping through services like no big deal, it's like everything's just working so well. That's the day that you write down what your temperature and humidity is. And you make sure that you know that and keep your room at that consistent relative humidity. So there's more information about that. It's really important, but it's in that newsletter. newspaper. I don't know what it's called. Anyways, it's on Instagram. If you need the link to it, let us know. It's in our story as well. But definitely go in there and check it out. It's a really great video and it's super, super helpful.
Another great product to have on hand is a tile home. So when working with volume, we're going to have different curls and different diameters on hand. So by having a glue home, this keeps it all nice and organized. You can even mark down like, okay, this is my C curl 0.07, D curl 0.07, whatever. And you'll have that all nice and organized in your tile home. Also, our tiles have a white background, so it makes it so much easier when fanning because you want to make sure that you can see exactly what you're doing. If the tile was dark, then it would be really tough to see how your fan's looking and to grip it properly. So it's great to have a white surface like that.
100%. And on that note, another really important thing, since we're talking about lash strips, I'm going to show you guys this. So you can see the white tile. You can obviously see what you're doing. It's really important. If you had a black background or something, not good. And if you were working with silver lashes, you'd want to switch this up as well, or even put some tape behind it or something. So you can see here. But another thing, let's look at this sticky strip. See that sticky strip? The sticky strip is not black. The reason why it's not black is really important. It's because when you're fanning off the strip, you need to be able to see how that base is looking so you can easily pick it up, know what's going on. It has to have a contrast. And the sticky strip itself shouldn't be too sticky and shouldn't be not sticky enough. Yeah. It has to be just right. So that's why you want to make sure. And the fibers too. Fibers are so important. I don't know about you guys, but I've had my lashes done with some plasticky fibers.
Yeah.
Feels horrible, not nice. You want to make sure you have good fibers that are easy to fan and really comfortable, because if your clients don't like the way their lashes feel, guess what? They're not coming back. And they need to feel wearable. Like they need to be able to blink and like move them around and know that they're not like crunchy, you know? That's really important. So the strip is important. Perfect amount of sticky so you can easily release. Now, if you do need help releasing, Carson just walked in. We're at my house. It's busy at the warehouse and the studio right now, so we are literally we're doing this from my house. But welcome to the Alfred Barney residence. But yeah, so that reminds me, we should talk about that. We were already talking about how pre-fans are really good to supplement with your handmade volume learning and all that stuff, but we have $1 tray days happening right now on our pre-made fans. So only the short stem pre-fans in small trays. If you go to our website, right there on the cover photo, there's a shop now button. That's where all our sale is. And I cannot believe how fast they're selling out. We're doing it until the products are gone, which we have on for 3 days, but I don't think they're gonna last longer than today. Thank you to everyone who's already supported us with that. That's amazing. I'm so glad that that's been a success. But anyhow, if your strips are hard to release if your fans are hard to release from the strip, then another product you can use is Foreplay. Do you like the name? Foreplay. Foreplay is a product that you use your micro swab, dip it in, put a tiny, tiny, tiny amount. There's also a tutorial on that newspaper as well on how to use it. But basically what it does is it helps make fans so much easier. So it'll help release them from the strip a lot easier. Cars, you can't be walking around like that. He's distracting me so much. He's literally walking over there and over there and back, and I'm like, what is he doing? The truth about how it is doing these lives. It's so distracting having people there. Anyways, Foreplay is a really great product because it helps make the fans much easier to release from the strip. And it also helps regulate your humidity and temperature. So if you are, say, an artist who's on the run, you go to people's houses to do lashes, you can't control the humidity, and that's just something that is out of your control. So Foreplay is an amazing product for that as well. So it helps in so many different ways. Also, if you put it along the tips, wet lashing is so much easier. Next up, we have our glue gun. So this is a super, super important product, in my opinion, when volume lashing, because when lashing, it's so easy to get glue like on your tweezer tips. And when that happens, you won't be able to release your fan from the strip because that will block your tweezer from fully closing. So by having glue gun on your station, you can simply dip your tweezers in there
and that will rid the glue in like 15 seconds.
Yeah, it's super easy. It has these like little balls in it. Your tweezers go in, you just like wiggle it around a little bit in the little balls, and you just take the tweezer out, and you have to make sure that you use your glue wipes after, or a paper towel or something. I don't suggest paper towel though, because it leaves a little bit of like fuzzies on there, which you don't want stuck to your lashes as well.
Yeah.
But anyhow, use your glue wipes, wipe it off, and make sure that the product isn't still on the tweezers, because if it rolls down and gravity takes over, it's like acetone in your client's eyes. Not good. Just make sure that they're dried afterwards. But another point on that, so not only will your fans stick to the tweezers and you'll never get a proper connection, but on top of that, like you were saying too, just for further clarification, when we close our tweezers, when there's nothing on there, it's perfect and it closes nice. There's no cracks along the way. But if you have old dried up glue and stuff on there, even though the fans aren't sticking to it, it might be causing like ripples on the tweezer. And then those little tiny lashes will fall out and you won't get a good grip. So the tweezers need to be not only just cleaned, but like scrubbed. Make sure that there is no glue residue left on there, even if it's dry. Next product. Okay, so this is a really fun one. Our jade stone, our glue ring, our crystal glue holder. So we will touch more on this next week when we do our live again. But the way that you dip your glue is really important, and how your glue is stored is really important as well. So ideally, we're going to keep it in what shape? What kind of shape?
A dome shape. Sorry, for a second I was like, what? Yeah, we want to keep our glue in a dome shape. So especially when working off of a jade stone, we want to put some micropore tape on there. And when we do our glue drop, then it'll actually stay in a very round shape, and that will keep our glue consistent for longer. So rather than drying up and flattening out, it will be in better condition. And with our glue rings and our crystal glue holder, it already stays in that shape perfectly fine. So,
and then on top of that, the glue holder, the crystal glue holder, and the glue rings as well, they're both designed in such a way that you can use another part. Jill has a question, I can tell, but you can use, I'm going to answer that in one sec, but you can use them to make the base pointier. And we're going to show you exactly how to do that on next week's live. So grab a glue ring, guys. Now's the time. Like, take advantage of dollar days. Also take advantage of the fact that we're going to be doing this live. Get a couple products, like a glue ring is a good one, crystal glue holder, some volume lashes of different dimensions. We're going to be working with 0.1s and 0.07s next week. Grab some of those when you're getting your $1 trays, and come on to our live next week, and we're going to teach you how to use those products. But what was the question, Jill?
They're just wondering how often you should switch out your glue dot.
You should switch. So it depends. That comes back to your humidity and temperature. If your humidity and temperature is not amazing, then you're going to be switching out your glue dot very often, like every 15 to 20 minutes, or whenever it becomes goopy. It just depends on where your environment's at. But sometimes I'll be able to get an entire service through one glue dot.
Yeah, same here. But
if my environment's perfect.
Yeah, if you're ever not sure, we would definitely recommend doing 15 to 20 minutes just to be safe. But yeah, there's been times where I haven't had to switch my glue dot either.
It's when it becomes really frustrating and really stressful that it's like, okay, it's time. But if your temperature and humidity is perfect and you're shaking it right, all the components are mixed up, that's another thing. Back to the glue braider. We're shaking by hand. We have to shake for up to 5 minutes, which is crazy. And you have to shake side to side, by the way. Don't shake up and down ever. But when you're shaking with your glue braider, it's so fast, and it mixes all the components together, because cyanoacrylate is the component that we have in our glues that makes it stick to things. So we need that component, or it's not going to work. So, but the thing about cyanoacrylate is that it actually cures. It actually sits at the top of the bottle, and all the other components sit below it. Cyanoacrylate is also the component that people are sensitive to. So if you overuse your cyanoacrylate, the rest of your glue bottle will be useless. And you can also have reactions to cyanoacrylate as well. So you need to make sure all those components are mixed. And that's why it's so important to shake your glue properly. So if you say use all your cyanoacrylate in the first few weeks of having the bottle, then the bottle will be no good and you won't get as good of a hold, or you won't have a very good lashing experience as well. So that's just a touch on that as well. Okay, back to it. I just want to touch on this again, guys. So next week, we're going to be doing another live. This one's going to be hands-on, like really into fan making. And we're going to do fanning off the strip method. We want you guys to come with your questions, and we want to answer them, and we want to really work on doing that together. So I have right here a card that we use. We have some sponges. You can definitely ask us for these. When you put in your order, say, hey, I made an order. I would like one of these. We can only put them in orders over a certain dollar value, $100. And the reason why is because they don't fit into our small tray boxes. They just don't fit in there. Like, I would love to say that everyone can have them, but if the order is under $100, likely we'll send it in a small box, so they won't fit in. But any orders over $100, if you guys want one and you want to join in on it next week, when you place your order, just write in the comments, say like, I really want one of those Lash with me cards. I watched your live, or reach out to us with your order number and we'll do our best to get you one. But you're going to want something like this for next week's live, something that you can lash on, or you can get a empty pre-fan tray or both. And then you can lash into the pre-fan tray while we're working, or on your sponge, because we're going to talk about wrapping. We're going to do like the whole thing. We're going to do an hour together. It's going to be very specific, very hands-on, but you need the products in order to work with us, right? So that's important. And while you're at it, don't forget it's $1 tray days, and they're not going to be around for much longer. Okay, so we already talked about micropore tape. We already talked about lash strips. I feel like we're doing a pretty good job here, guys. I haven't breathed, really.
You're like just going off.
I'm like, sorry, Anna, I'm talking over.
No, it's okay.
Okay, so I'm going to let you take over from here. So,
Yeah,
talk
so
about kits and stuff. Yeah.
the kits, okay.
Where are you? Actually, maybe I went too far. Okay, you go wherever you were going to be.
Okay, I was just going to talk about the methods of fan making. So there's different methods to making a fan. You can fan off of the strip. You could do the pinch method. We got side fan. I think you put that in, and I'm actually curious what side fan is. Is it the shimmy method or?
No, it's when you're actually, it's kind of like fanning off the strip, but you actually just, instead of taking the strip off and placing it, you take off half. Yeah, you like pull it to the side. We're going to show you that at some point too.
Yeah, so we highly suggest like trying each one of these methods out in the beginning, because you never know what will be best for you. Like when I first started, I was like, ooh, I'm going to do the pinch method. Like everyone's doing that. But when I started with 0.07, so I was like, oh, that's maybe not the method I should start with. And then I started doing fanning off the strip. So definitely try different like diameters and different methods to see which one works best for you.
100%. And with that said too, that's one of the biggest things that we wanted to do in our course. We teach every single method. There's no one method that we teach in our Handmade Volume course. And our mini courses, I can't even remember how much our mini course is. I think it's like $180 American and 220 something Canadian. And that's crazy. And it has every single method that you'd ever learn for Handmade Volume. And same with our Mega Volume as well. All of those are taken from our Volume Mastery course, which is this manual right here. But we teach every single method, because the last thing that I want is for you guys to have what we had happen. We pay a bunch of money and it wasn't the method for us. Like, you still take something from every course, 100%. But it's nice to be able to try all of them, because exact same as Anna, I was like, ooh, pinching looks cool. I want to pinch. But I only pinch for 0.03 diameter lashes. I fan off the strip or do another method for every other type of diameter. Like, it is so specific to you. The tweezer is specific to you. The fanning method is specific to you. Like, the diameter choice is specific to you. It's all about what works for you. And it's our job to give you the knowledge to choose that. Like, I don't want you to just be like, oh, Lost Artistry does the fanning off the strip method and that's the only way. That's not it. That's not our experience. And we want to make sure that you have all the information that you need in order to succeed.
Yeah, and again, going off of that, finding whatever works best for you. It doesn't have to be just like the regular standard volume. You can also use easy fans or camellia easy fans. These are amazing too. Some people prefer these over the regular volume as well. So yeah, it really just depends on, like, you know, trying everything and seeing what method works best.
Yeah, and a lot of times, like we say, and you'll see in our courses and throughout this as well, that we talk a lot about how working with like pre-made fans and camellia fans, like they're stepping stones to Handmade Volume, but that doesn't mean that they have to be a stepping stone. They can be your final destination. It is all good. But it's nice to know a little bit about each of them and try all of them. We've actually made kits that you can go on and purchase as well. Like, if you go onto our website under lashes, there's another subfolder called kits, and then you can easily purchase all the stuff that you need stress-free and it's like a little sampler kit of everything. But a little bit about the Easy Fan thing. Easy Fans are really fun.
They are. Actually, when I first started lashing, for some reason, I thought that you had to start with Easy Fans. And I found that it was tough for me in the beginning. But then when I started working with regular volume off the strip, I revisited Easy Fans. And I was like, they're actually so much fun. I love them, like pinching the base, remolding it. And it really got me used to working with the pinch method. So
yeah, 100%. So can you explain a little bit about the difference between camellia and Easy Fan? Like, what's the difference between standard Easy Fan and camellia Easy Fan?
Yeah, so camellia Easy Fan actually has staggered lengths in between, so it actually gives a darker finish. And then Easy Fans are all the same length. So when you go to look for camellia Easy Fans, say you're looking at 8, 9, and 10 lengths, your longest will be 10 millimeters and your shortest will be 8. And when you grip the bundle, there'll be multiple lengths staggered in between. And personally, they're my favorite. I love working with them because of the dark finish and they just look beautiful.
And on top of that too, like you're saying, so the camellia fans, we've talked a lot about feathering. If you guys need a video on feathering, I will definitely link it. But basically feathering is when you mix multiple lengths within each section. And what that does is, like Anna said, it creates darkness, but it also mimics the growth of the natural lashes. So our natural lashes are growing. There's shorter ones, there's longer ones, short, long, and all, medium, everything. So if we work with certain fan types, such as camellia, where we mix multiple lengths throughout within a fan or within our set, then what ends up happening is the grow out is much nicer, because those shorter lashes, instead of having a short natural lash and then a really long extension, there's a big gap there when they fall out, right? So you can see those gaps. But when you have multiple lengths mixed throughout, it really helps ease that grow out, and the lashes will look better for longer.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we've talked about that. Oh, another thing about it that I was going to say was crystallizing. So that's something that we're going to talk about next week as well. We do have other videos on YouTube about it, but grab an empty pre-fan tray and we'll learn how to crystallize fans next week as well. Important to have a tray though, because if you leave the lashes out, they're going to collect dirt and dust really fast, and you won't be able to use them on your clients. So you want to make sure that you have somewhere to store those lashes. So empty pre-fan tray is what we use, but by all means, if you want to throw them in a little cup with a cover or Tupperware, whatever,
do what you gotta do.
That's okay too. Okay, let's see. Oh, okay. So back to the glue thing, something that we haven't talked about. Something that we haven't talked about is wicking versus non-wicking. So I'll come up with the picture, and maybe Anna, you can explain a little bit about what wicking versus non-wicking is. Can you guys see that?
Oh, do you want me to sit over here?
Wherever works. So right here, you can go ahead, Anna. Oh, you're going to hold it.
Oh,
no, you explain it. You explain it.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
Okay.
Here, I'll hold it.
All right. Okay.
You're better at explaining this one than I am.
Okay. So wicking versus non-wicking. So over here we have, so first of all, every glue is either wicking or non-wicking. So especially when you're working with volume, it's important that the glue doesn't ride up the fan. So you can see here with a wicking glue, the glue itself, where you dip, say you dip 1 millimeter into the stem of the fan, then the glue is going to ride its way up. And with volume fanning, that automatically goes, sucks it up and wants to close the fan. So it's important, especially when you're working with handmade volumes, to make sure that you're working with a non-wicking adhesive. Non-wicking means where you dip the adhesive is where it stays. So the fan's going to stay open and it's going to stay lovely. And that is very, very important. Now, foreplay, this guy will turn any glue from wicking to non-wicking. So this is an option as well, but it is really, really important to make sure that you're using the right glue and a non-wicking glue. Cool. I feel like we just plowed through that. Oh, the importance of aftercare. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. Okay, so with aftercare, it is so important, especially depending on the diameter that your client chooses. So say if your client wants mega volume, you're working with finer diameter lashes like 0.05 or 0.03. And if your client is transitioning from classics or maybe even 0.07 volume to 0.05 or 0.03, the lashes are more likely to straighten and they become less resilient.
Mhm.
So it definitely is important to go over aftercare again with your clients to make sure that they know it's important to keep them away from extreme heat and also to really cleanse their lashes. Again, super different from classic. Cleansing is still important with classic, but with volume, because there's so many lashes and the base is so close to the lash line, you want to make sure that your client knows they really have to do thorough cleanses, thorough rinses to make sure that all the dirt, dust, and debris, oh my gosh, dirt, dust, and debris is gone from the lash line, because if any of that remains there, then they can definitely get like irritations, lash mites.
Oh, lash mites are terrifying.
Yeah, so definitely it's important to go over aftercare again with your clients, whether they are transitioning from classics to volume or they are jumping right into volume for lashing. It's super important to go over that with them.
And another note on that as well is, well, particularly for mega volume. So not only is the base important, but all the rest of the lashes, when they overlap each other so much, the dirt gets really stuck in there. So they should be cleansing with a cleanser every single day. Our cleansers are actually, it's a great upsell for you too, because you can buy them in bulk. In packs of 20. You can buy the whole, the combo with the fine bristled brush and whatever, and then you get them at a discounted price and you can sell them to your clients, and it actually helps them. Like it's measurable, the difference between cleansing and not cleansing. But another note on the importance of aftercare. So it's important no matter what to make sure that our clients stay away from heat. Straightening is a huge problem. But on top of that, another thing that's really problematic, especially when you're working with handmade volumes, is our fans, we want to keep them nicely open and beautifully fluffy, right? But what happens when we introduce heat is that the molecules start like jiggling around and they separate and they kind of become, I don't want to say a liquid again. It's not so much that they become a liquid, but the bond isn't as strong. So what happens when we have those molecules that are now reforming, when they reform and by being exposed to heat, such as saunas, the oven, really bad. What happens when we have our handmade artisans or handmade fans versus like pre-made fans or classics is that those fans, when they're exposed to heat, now they go close up. So you're going to have fans that are not super open between fills, and that's a pain for you as the artist, because you're going to have to remove them depending on the style that you're going for. If they want wet lashes, all good. I'm kidding. It's still not good. But it is important for that reason as well, because we want those fans to stay open. And it's a really big issue if we're being exposed to heat. And a lot of people are standing over the stove. They're cooking their dinners. So what you got to do, throw on some goggles.
Exactly.
You're getting some Lash goggles and you're wearing them every day that you're cooking. Yes. But no, it is really, really important. We want those lashes to stay open. We don't want to compromise those fans.
Yeah, and I just want to go back to the cleansing again with the aftercare. It's super important to make sure that your client has a good fine bristled brush. So we want to make sure that they're not using their hands or a brush that's not going to get in close to the base. So here at Lash Artistry, we have a good fine bristled brush, and every time I use it on my clients and when they use it, their lashes are always really clean when they come in for fills. And when I use it at the beginning of fills during services, it always rids everything from that lash line. So just make sure that your client has a good fine bristled brush to clean their lashes with.
Yeah, you want those bristles to be really tiny so they can hug in around every single tiny lash and all around the base, so it can really give a really good clean. And on the point of the lashes not closing up, you want to do everything in your power to make sure that the client's fans aren't going to close up, because that creates so much work for you. So obviously cleaning is important. Obviously aftercare is important. But another really good suggestion is to seal the lashes and cure them right after a service. So the best product for that is Super Bonder. Super Bonder not only locks in fumes, helps people with sensitivities, all that stuff, but it also cures the lashes immediately. So if we can cure those, then the fans will be less likely to close up. So that is a number one product. I highly, highly, highly suggest working with that one. And I think that sums up our mini course for today, but we're going to come back on it again next week. And just to recap, guys, next week we're going live. We're going to be talking about fanning off the strip. And when we're doing that live, it's going to be November 1st is what we decided it was. November 1st, right? Is Monday? Right. November 1st at 2:00 p.m. Was it Monday or was it Wednesday? Anyways, no, it'll be in our story. I think it's November 1st, but 2:00 p.m. It's going to be in our story right after this, whatever it is. Just go in, click that countdown, make sure that you join in on that, and make sure you have your supplies so that you can lash with us. It is so fun, and we're going to go through all the techniques. We're going to crystallize, we're going to wrap, we're going to do all that good stuff. So you definitely want to join in on that live. It's going to be really
so exciting.
It's going to be really fun. So we are going to do a Q&A, but first, how long have we been on this live, I wonder? It's been almost an hour. So guys, the best plan of action here, Instagram's going to boot us off after an hour, and it's been just about that time. So we're going to hop off live, and we're going to get right back on and answer any and all of your questions, because otherwise we're not going to be able to save this video and it's just going to kick us out. So we're going to go on there right now and answer any questions that you guys have. But otherwise, if you're not coming back, thank you. It was a blast, and I hope that you guys learned lots. And if you have any other questions, just let us know.